So this is my new-ish Everlast multi-processor welder. I've had this thing for about 8 months now. I wanted to use it for a bit just to get used to the machine. It's my first time using the Everlast brand product. So, I wasn't sure what I was getting into. I did a ton of research. I follow a lot of people on my social media from, kind of weekend warriors and guys, tackling small, medium, heavy projects during the week for fun, for a hobby, as well as people who have used these professionally. And what I have seen and heard from some of these people is that these machines are awesome. So before, and I'll say this now, before you get into any new product, this included, don't just take my word for it, go and do your research. Check out what's out there, see what's best for you, see what's best, for your budget, for what you're going to be using it for the functionality that the machine offers, and then make that final choice. And this welder was perfect for me. So let's dive into some of the nitty-gritty with it. So as I said earlier, this is a multi-process unit that Everlast offers. This does MIG, TIG, and stick welding, and you get all the basic consumables as one package right out of the box shipped to you. So basically, you could order this welder and pretty much be ready to weld the minute it arrives, as long as you got proper power electrical hookup in the garage for what you're going to use it for. You'll need obviously gas. If you're going to use MIG, you'll need a 75-25 mix. If you're going to use the TIG, you'll need 100% argon. So you probably need 2 gas tanks, and then you'll need some of the TIG and MIG consumables. So for the MIG, you'll need a spool of wire, and for TIG, you'll need tungsten for the torch, and you'll need filler rod for whatever material that you're going to get into. So whether that's stainless steel, mild steel, aluminum, they have different filler material for each of those alloy types and more. Now, why did I choose this welder specifically? Well, there's a few factors. So one, my shop is fairly small. I don't have a huge space in here. I have a 2-bay garage. One bay is completely taken up by, my buggy, and the back wall, I got all tools, and I got stuff in, the side that's all kind of tucked away, and I pull it out as needed. So I needed to keep, things packed in nicely. I didn't want to have multiple units. I didn't want to have, a welder for MIG, a welder for TIG, plasma cutter, all this and that. I wanted to keep it very minimal, and I chose this because, like I said, multi-process. One unit, it has all those features available to you, which made it perfect for me because, I don't have a lot of space, so I can kind of keep this tucked in one spot. I don't have to go and store another welder somewhere else. And, it's one unit. I can go from MIG welding and then I can switch over to TIG, or vice versa. It just makes it super, super nice. So that was one for me. Number 2 was the versatility that this machine offers. So I've done MIG welding, and I would say not a professional welder. I'm not the best welder on the planet, but I've done it and I'm comfortable with it. But I really wanted to learn TIG, and I wanted to branch out because I've seen a lot of people do it. I've seen how clean the welds could be, and I never got into it because I thought, it was just crazy hard and just overly complicated, and it was just going to take too much time and I'd never be good at it. I'm glad I got into it because I definitely proved myself wrong. But I got it because I knew that I wanted to start practicing. So it was perfect. This machine offered, the versatility to do mild steel, to do stainless steel, to do aluminum. And I really, really got it for the stainless and for the aluminum because 2 of, some of the projects that I have in my mind down the line for the buggy that I have is I need to do a new full stainless steel exhaust, pretty much from the headers down and all the way back. And, I have some inner fenders and some, aluminum panels in the buggy that I would like to maybe redo or do a little bit nicer. Some of it's gonna require some bending, and then there's gonna be some sections of it that I'm gonna need to do aluminum welding on. So this is where this machine kind of came in. So I was keeping things in the future in my foresight. So for this machine, I'll talk about some of the basic features that it offers and some of the sort of thicknesses and gauges, you know, between TIG for mild steel and stainless, and then, you know, for aluminum. So let's start with TIG. So for TIG for stainless steel and for mild steel, using a 3 and 32 seconds tungsten rod, you have a nice range. You can weld between 22 gauge and 1/4 inch, which is pretty sweet. You know, you definitely get a lot of versatility out of that. For me and any of the TIG welding that I'll get, that range is more than enough. It's perfect. You know, I'm not going to be doing anything thinner and thicker. You know, that's in the money. And then for aluminum, and I think that this is the same, 3 and 32 second tungsten, you can weld between it's 22 gauge and 3/16. So once again, you get a nice wide range with aluminum. I'm not going to be welding any aluminum. I'm thicker than 3/16. Most of the body panels and the sheet metal that I have is definitely going to be on the thinner side. So it's perfect. And then for MIG, and these settings are going to be for a 0.30 filler, you know, a filler rod. You can weld between 24 gauge and 3/8, which is, once again, gives you a nice range. You know, you could do some of the thin stuff, which I really wouldn't do the thin stuff with MIG. I'm going to use the TIG settings for that, just because this has pulse settings in it. If I'm doing really thin sheet metal, the pulse helps with heat reduction and blowing through that really thin sheet metal. One of the reasons why I got it. But if you're going to be doing some thicker material, if you're going to, you know, be welding, you know, a lot, if you need to, I don't know, just do something a little bit quicker, maybe not put as much prep time into it with cleaning, you know, you get that function out of the MIG. And that's why I have this unit, because I use both features. There's things that I'm welding that I'm just going to use the MIG because the MIG is easy, or it's in a really hard to reach place, and it's much easier to get up there with a MIG torch than it is to start fiddling around with the TIG torch and, you know, filler rod. But then other things, you know, like things that, you know, maybe are a little bit more visible, things that I want to look a little bit nicer, you know, that's what the TIG settings for, and that's what I will be using it for this and for future projects. This welder, I think I spoke about it in the beginning, out of the box, you know, you pretty much comes ready to weld. You know, you get the welder, you get the TIG torch, you get the MIG torch, you get the ground clamp, you get a torch for the stick welder, you get the foot pedal. On the TIG torch, there's a little, you know, finger pedal. So if, you know, you're in a really tight area and, you know, you can't use the foot pedal, you know, you have the finger trigger. You know, so you get a lot with this welder. It comes with a 5-year warranty, which I think is awesome in the industry right now. And in general, after 8 months of using it, after the countless reviews that I've read and just being able to use it myself, I'm really stoked with this welder. So anyway, I'm not going to turn the welder on. I'll put a couple of clips with it on and me fiddling around with the settings and sort of the dials shortly, just so you guys can kind of see what it looks like when it's on. It's just loud when it's on. It has 2 fans in the back. When you turn it on, they kick in to keep this thing nice and cool, which is great. But, you know, for the sake of me making a video and talking to you guys, it's a lot easier for me to keep it off while I do that. So just, you know, kind of a quick overview on this welder. You know, you have your MIG torch hookup right here. You pretty much have your gas line for your TIG torch here, which feeds to your, you know, TIG torch on your negative outlet. You have your AC clamp, your DC clamp, and then you have your foot control, you know, so you could use your foot pedal, and or you can use the trigger torch, you know, here as well, and that kind of goes in this outlet. And then you can obviously, like I said, you could swap between AC or DC depending on what you're doing when you're welding. On the front, it's got this nice, you know, kind of, you know, hard plastic protective screen to keep your, you know, buttons, controls, and the LED screen protected from sparks, dust, and any other, you know, kind of flying shot material that you have. So that pretty much lifts up, and then you will have, you know, the ability to toggle through your settings right here, so you can switch between any of these different welding features. So you see you got TIG, steel, stainless, aluminum, MIG, stainless, MIG, steel, C25, so that's going to be your 75-25 for your gas. And then obviously, look, the rest are very self-explanatory. So these kind of navigate through that. And then down here is where you can go through, you know, some of your settings. So when the screen is on, you know, that's where you would switch between maybe some of your pre-saved options, you know, as well as, you know, adjustments, which you can make through the dials here. On the side, you got your spool for your MIG wire. So I got a 0.30 wire in there right now. You know, it holds a decent sized spool. I believe you can get a 4-inch and an 8-inch spool in there, which is pretty sweet. And then, yeah, it's pretty sweet. Like I said, 2 fans in the back, you know, keeping it nice and cool. You got, you know, your, you know, inlets, you know, for your TIG gas, for your MIG gas, you know, and a on-off switch. So overall, you know, it's a very, you know, simple unit in, you know, its look. You know, everything's nice and easy. It's not overly complicated. You know, a couple of things that I like about this unit, which I will, you know, kind of state real quick, is you have the ability to pre-save some of your favorite weld settings. So if you are doing, you know, some frequent projects and you are maybe doing a lot of thin sheet and you find whatever, a TIG setting that is just mint and it works really good for you, you can pre-save those settings, you know, and I think you get up to 10 pre-saves in this unit, which is really nice. So you save it in, next time you come and you're doing the exact same thing, you don't have to fiddle in. You go to one of your pre-saves, it pops up, you click that one, and you are pretty much off and going. You know, obviously maybe you need to tweak it depending on, you know, what you're doing, but it's really nice. It just gets you very close. The other thing that this offers, which I used more so in the beginning, and I'll still use it from time to time, is some of the built-in presets. And what I mean by built-in presets is for TIG, for example, if I'm gonna be using, let's say, a, you know, 3 and 32 seconds tungsten rod, you know, and I'm gonna be welding 1/8 aluminum. On this unit, I can hit this button right here, which is a power off, power on, power off for the presets, and I can use these dials. And basically what I do is I select my tungsten size, I select the material that I'm gonna weld, and it will give me sort of the amperage, and this is just a base, but it'll give me the base amperage that I would need to perform that job. And then, you know, after doing a test pass or, you know, doing some of the welding, you know, and looking at, you know, what's going on with the weld that I'm doing, I'll probably need to make a little adjustment on the higher or the lower end side of that. But the nice thing is with that built-in preset, it gets me very close to where I need to be, and then I can adjust further upon that within a certain range. And then obviously outside of the presets, you know, you get the full functionality of the welding. I can adjust, you know, if I'm doing thin sheet metal, sort of the pulse settings, and you know, you can really dial this thing to work good for you. But if you're looking for something to give you a little bit of ease, if you're just starting out welding, you know, you don't maybe have some of those basic fundamentals, you know, this will definitely help you along the way. As well as if you just need to do something really quick, you can go in there and go to one of your either built-in presets or one of your personal saved presets, and it just makes things quick, easy, fast. I like it. So to back up a little bit, and this is just for me, and I would say this is a bit of encouragement for, you know, anybody else out there, anybody who is just starting something brand new, whether you have welding experience, you don't have welding experience, and it doesn't have to just be welding, it could be any type of fabrication or anything in life for that matter. If there's something that interests you, if there's something that you have a passion for, that drive, that motivation, but like people are maybe being discouraging, or, you know, even yourself, because you could be your own worst enemy. Yourself is, you know, you're just discouraging yourself, and you're telling yourself, meh, I won't have the time, or I can't do it, or I'm not going to be as good. You know, You got to stop listening to either other people or yourself. If you have that drive and motivation and that passion, whatever it is that you're doing, plan to do it, you know, because otherwise what's going to happen is you're going to go an entire lifetime and you're just going to look back and you'll be like, man, I wish that I tried that, or I wish that I did that. Instead, you could be doing it. So that was TIG welding for me. I was scared, you know, I always thought that TIG welding in general was kind of like you were jumping up and down on one foot while patting your head and rubbing your tummy and, you know, whistling a song. There was so much, you know, that you needed to do in order to get a weld. I thought like there's no chance that I could ever do it. And when I got this unit in my head too, you know, I kind of got really excited and I was like, oh, you know what, maybe whatever, I'll just, you know, bust it out and I'll start laying super clean dimes the first time that I welded this thing. Didn't happen. I was laying down boogers. They were just ugly and awful, and it took time and it took practice. But I've been using this thing for 8 months. I'm definitely in my shop, you know, a couple times through the week, and I am welding either MIG or TIG, and I've been spending more time on the TIG just to bridge that gap of practice. I've been welding, you know, weekly to just hone in on my skills. So within an 8-month period, I went from welding boogers to, and I love this piece, I put it on my Instagram and my social media, and look, it's not perfect. I'm sure a lot of you can criticize and do whatever, and you know, I did some fancy little art things on it too, but I literally took a square cube of stainless, I made a cube, I turned it into, you know, my version of a dice, you know, but you know, I'm really happy with this for having 0 TIG experience, only doing TIG for about 8 months, and being able to get, in my opinion, some really, really clean welds, really good penetration, working on the heat control, working on my gas coverage, you know, seeing some of those golds and silvers, you know, it's really nice. You know, when I first started TIG welding, you know, they were very boogery looking. A lot of the welds were very like grayish in color just from putting too much heat into it, you know, and I wasn't consistent in, you know, the welds, and I was dipping my tungsten in the puddle and it was getting stuck, and it was just megally frustrating. So to go from that to something like this, having no experience and literally just, you know, practicing, talking to people who are in the trade, who are doing it, watching content, reading, you know, proper fundamentals and techniques. If I can do it, anybody can do it, as long as you have the drive and the motivation, because that's what it's going to take, and patience, lots of patience. Anyway, guys, I hope you found this review helpful. If you guys did, definitely be sure to give this video a like, subscribe to the channel. I got lots of future content coming up. With that said, God bless, have a great day. I'll see you guys soon.